Happy Social Media Saturday. I am back with another episode, and today I have the amazing Capri Campo, who is a digital creator who helps bisexual and non-binary people fall in love with their unique queerness. So thanks for being here, Capri.
Thank you for having me. I'm so happy. This is such an exciting thing that we're doing. Thank you for inviting me.
Yes, thanks you for being here. I'm so excited to dive into this conversation. So timely around Pride Month. We're going to get into all things Pride and influencer marketing. Capri has an amazing audience. She has an amazing passion for creating educational and entertaining videos that make people feel less alone in their queerness. She's also, for anybody watching, an actor and beginning your journey as a screenwriter. So all very exciting things. Um, so we met, I'm thinking back to how we met, what at a kickback of sorts, like a
Mhm.
gathering for creative people. Capri and I bonded over sharing a bowl of popcorn, which I think halfway through the bowl, dropped all of it on the floor, which was really unfortunate because it was really good popcorn. Like we were really digging that. But
Oh, so good.
thank goodness there was more. But yeah, so met at this creative gathering because you are a creative. You've built an online audience of close to 420,000 people, this community. That's no small feat. So could we just start by you telling us a little bit about your journey of finding your niche and building your community?
Yeah, so I started content creating about 3 years ago, and it really kicked off for me like in the height of pandemic. I was in Florida, um, which is not the best place to be during a global pandemic, if you can believe it. And I was a theater major, and all my theater internships had been like pushed back for like a year. And so I was really in this space of like wanting to create, wanting to make things, but not having any like opportunity to create or space to create. And I was consuming a lot of content. And I love consuming content, I love watching shows, but at a certain point, I start to feel like a sponge with no more absorbency. Like I was just kind of like starfishing on the ground, like so creatively depleted. So I decided if I was going to watch so much content, I needed to make something. So I started making content and started having fun making it, just silly stuff like, what does your favorite member of Big Time Rush say about you? Just really silly, whatever, fun stuff, just playing with trending audios. And as I was getting more into like the creative brain of it, I was seeing these creators who I was really admiring and how they were working. And I was like, okay, I want to do this. I always had this weird sense of like delusion that like I can do anything I put my mind to. I genuinely believe that. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this. So I put 60 sticky notes on my wall in my little room in Florida. And I was like, every day that I post 2 videos, I'm going to take off a sticky note. And by the time I had taken off 30 sticky notes, I already had 100,000 followers on TikTok.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Look at that built-in accountability system that you created for
Yeah.
yourself. That's great. And I mean, it's as you're speaking, it's just kind of blowing my mind how many stories there are about people who were in the pandemic and, didn't have things to do or needed an outlet. And so then started this next chapter of their life or like new creative venture, or maybe it was a new business. So, um, that's really interesting. And so it sounds like you kind of were just making whatever you felt like at the beginning. When did you kind of fall into this niche of creating for queer audiences and talking about your own sexuality?
I was on queer TikTok, but I did there was no bisexual TikTok. It was just very queer. And maybe there was, but it just wasn't on my algorithm. But I wasn't really seeing anything that was like fully resonating with my experience. And I just kind of felt that a lot throughout my life, like being like a white passing person who's also an ethnic person. So like depending on the space, but I'm sure you totally feel, and also being bisexual. So I'm queer in spaces, but I'm also straight in spaces. So it's just a whole weird mess of just feeling like a lot of not belonging. And so I was like, okay, well, let's just throw something out here about bisexuality. And I threw a video out and it got like 20,000 views, which I was like, what? This is amazing. What happened? It was sick. And it's so wild how like our standards for things changed. You can be so hard on yourself as a creator now because now I'm like 20,000. Who cares? But no, it's a huge deal. It's a huge deal
That
at any point.
resonated. You
Yeah.
struck a chord with people.
Yeah, and it was a really simple thing of like, you know, here's the number one way to know that you're bisexual, and if you watch till the end of the video, I was like, you're bisexual, just like something silly, and after posting that, I had a different feeling that I had from posting other things, like it really like resonated in my soul differently than my other content has resonated in my soul. Um, and then just the conversations I was having with people in the comment sections were so much more meaningful and so
Mhm.
much more like, oh whoa, like something's happening here. So I just really leaned into that feeling, what that feeling turned out to be, I guess for me, was a lot of like inner child healing, like a lot of like, I'm not enough, I'm too muchness, putting out
Totally.
there and getting positive affirmation, and then also getting people um being like, oh, I know this feeling. I know this feeling too, because I have this feeling, I am this.
Mhm.
And just listening to my inner child and listening to a part of me that I was already out at that point, but I was out and also like, yeah, it's whatever. Instead of leaning into like the no, I'm out and this is like, oh my God, these are the things that I wish I knew, and these are the conversations I wish I had. And if I could talk to younger me, or here's what I would say, and really like healing myself and making art in the process, that turned out to
Mhm.
be this thing that resonated with other people and turned into my niche.
Wow, that sounds very healing and also very organic. It sounds like you were testing out a bunch of different types of content and then found this that was an authentic expression of something that was really personal and also really meaningful to you. And you were able to connect with other people who were kind of going through a similar journey. I think that's like when it can happen online. There's so much talk about social media and the good and the bad of social media, but I think that really speaks to the purest parts of these platforms. Instagram and TikTok is when people can go on them, and especially young people, and see somebody who's gone through what they're going through, and can say, okay, I'm not alone, or I'm okay, like it's okay for me to be like this. And so um, that's really beautiful. And so it sounds like you didn't really start out with that mission, but it kind of like evolved over time to help other bi and non-binary people embrace their queerness. And now you're like this full-blown influencer and working with companies and different brands on things. And as it's Pride Month, so this is the time of year when many companies and agencies are reaching out to queer creators to partner on sponsored content. But there's also like all this conversation about rainbow washing or rainbow capitalism, and companies kind of coming in to profit off of Pride Month. So keeping that in mind, I'm wondering if you have any advice for brands who want to partner with creators, with queer creators during Pride Month in an intentional way.
Don't ask people to work for free. It's very interesting because and the brands that will do it are incredibly surprising. Be like, oh, let's just go live really quick. Let's, or sometimes the rates will be pretty, I don't want to say insulting, because I don't think it's insulting, but pretty lowballing. And I know it's because there are some people who want this career so badly that they will take anything.
Absolutely.
Um, and I had this conversation with my agent once, where this brand that I was working with really wanted to turn over content in like 12 hours, or like, or something like that. And for me, I had to really think about like, I'm in a really privileged position where content creation is my full-time job. And my partner is really supportive of me. My partner is really financially supportive of me. And I'm so grateful to have a partner who like has my back in that way. So, if I have a brand deal that I don't feel aligned with, I'm okay. And I'm not gonna lose my place. I'm not gonna not eat, when that hasn't always been the case for me, and isn't the case for most people. So when I had that interaction with a brand that wanted me to, do something really fast, really quick turnover, I had a conversation with my agent where I was like, if I say yes to this, this is setting the standard for so many other creators. That is not equitable. That's not okay. Yeah,
Yes.
I'm not working today. So I could do a 8 to 12 hour turnover, but I have so many other creators who that's not their life. And does that mean they lose a job? Does that mean they don't get the money that they deserve? So, um, don't ask people to work for free. Don't ask, for a turnover that's kind of, um, not what you would be able to turn over for your own work. And also, I think, I don't even know if certain brands are ready to have that conversation. Like, what is your intention of working with a queer creator? Are you
Yes.
working with a queer
Go
creator
there.
to like something that I've seen that I've, yeah, right?
Let's
Something that
go
I've seen that I
there.
love, and I'm not sure if this is, but this is what I took from it. Like, North Face is doing this really cool thing with Patagonia, who is her name is Patagonia. It's so funny, and it's not Patagonia, but her name is
Oh,
Patagonia,
it's
and
a
she's a drag
creator
queen.
who's their name.
Yes,
Oh, Patagonia the drag queen. Okay,
so
yes, yes.
yes, so amazing, Patagonia, and she is doing like all these like like hiking and like queer like trail groups, like hiking trail groups, and they're and you can tell the intention with her is like I want to, have this conversation. I want to show that like our space is a safe space, and and enjoying the outdoors is something that queer people can feel safe doing, and the way Patagonia accepted this opportunity and so much rose to the conversation, even in her caption, it was like, because it was reposted on Patagonia on North Face's page as well. And she was like, "Hey, I'm aware that this is probably gonna be the first time a lot of you are seeing a person in drag, and let's have that conversation." And just how you can tell the intentionality in that versus
Mhm.
like, oh my God, it's May 25th. Hey, Capri, what are you doing? Like, by the way, do you have a second? And that's such like, and it's just, it's bullshit. Like, it's unacceptable. And it is, we're queer friendly because we have a queer person who said yes,
Right.
and that's not acceptable. So I think intentionality is so much, and also just pay people their worth.
Yeah.
What is your brand getting from this person? What is the awareness your brand is getting? And also the amount of time and energy that it takes to make a quality piece of content that is going to resonate not only with a creator's own audience, but potentially new people, is really valuable. And I think paying people their worth is really important, especially in an industry like this, that which now is so unregulated. Like some of the rates I'm seeing people getting offered is really is abysmal. Like it's really unfortunate. And it's just because people don't know that they, I mean, the amount of money that is spent on a commercial, the amount of money that is spent on a billboard, and you're getting that many views on your content, they're saving so much money anyway. You deserve to be paid your worth. And that's not too much to ask.
Yeah, but I mean, so many creators are so underpaid for the amount of eyes, as you said, views, revenue they're bringing into these companies. And what I'm hearing you say kind of as a general theme is just like treat these creators well, treat them like humans, treat them like business partners that they are. Pay us. That was a mic drop moment. Like, and I think that the last part of what you said of this, how beautiful it can be if you really intentionally work with a creator and allow them to do their thing and create a piece of content that resonates. I think that's the difference between um, a really resonant piece of content. And I'm thinking of there was so much, so many memes and so many jokes last year about the like this year I'm partnering with Pride because, or I'm thinking of one that said. When I was younger, I was afraid to come out of the closet. And that's why I'm partnering with IKEA to, this Pride Month to do da 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 da. And
That's great. And look, like anytime someone is gonna get paid, like make your check. Like anytime I see a queer person or a queer person of color or just a person of color like making money off of these huge brands that have the budget for it, go off. But I think it's the brand's duty. Yeah, I mean, heck, if IKEA wanted to pay me to build a closet and I'll come out of it, I would think that'd be hilarious. But I want also IKEA to be like, oh, why do I want to work with this person? Like, what is this person bringing? Versus this person has like 1 million followers and also they're gay. Oh my god! Like like I just don't. That to me feels so like icky. It feels like a quota. It feels like you're like, who can fill this quota? Okay, this person. That's gross to me. You know?
yeah, and also I think you're speaking there to the point of like continue to work with queer workers. So it's Pride Month, wonderful. We're doing all of these influencer pieces with queer creators, but what are we doing in July? What are we doing in August? And this continuation of being an ally outside of this month which I think for a lot of companies, especially this year, is really uncomfortable. I was reading an article before
Yeah.
this that was a representative from GLAAD, which I think is a company that promotes um, queer people in marketing and
Yeah.
positive images of queer people in marketing. One of their representatives was talking about how this is really an inflection point. Like there was a time where there was a lot of backlash against representing queer people, even just in on billboards or on
Mm.
commercials. And now we're having something similar with our um, representation of Pride Month. And so it's interesting to see which direction are you going to go? Allyship is getting really uncomfortable. Are you going to stick to your values or to what you proclaim to be your values, or is this a moment to back off?
Yeah, and I love that you said allyship is uncomfortable because allyship is uncomfortable, and so many people are cool to be allies until they, and this isn't my quote, this is someone on TikTok who said this, like, and they're cool to be allies until they realize they might be treated like the people that they're being allies for, and then they back
Yeah.
up. And that's true.
Hmm.
So many brands will do that.
Really powerful quote. So thank you for sharing about that. I think that's really helpful for especially anybody who's watching and thinking about maybe approaching queer creators or wanting to partner them with them for any influencer marketing. And I want to kind of switch to the creator side. I'm wondering if you have any, if you had to do it all over again, maybe what would you do differently, or do you have any words of wisdom for queer creators who are building their audiences or creators in general?
Yes. Yeah, I would say I'm really privileged in this space. The algorithm, can be random, but the algorithm is run by people and people have implicit biases. So I think, I just happen to be uh like I mean, the elephant in the room, I'm white passing. Like that is a huge thing for me. And I know so many content creators who are Black content creators, who are also Latina content creators, who are more presenting, who aren't getting the views that I'm getting, aren't having the audience see their content. Sorry, my dog is the loudest right now. Just like, let me slurp this water while Capri's like spilling her heart.
Who wants a baby cameo?
And she's still going. Got really thirsty. But I think, and I think there's being aware of that. I think that's really important to be aware of that. And also know that you're gonna find your people, but
Mm,
it may not, like, I was very lucky that in 30 days I found a huge audience and I was able to keep building off of that. But that's not the case for everybody. But it also doesn't have to be. Like, you can be a really successful content creator with 75,000 followers. You can be a really successful content creator with like 50 or even 20,000. And honestly, I think in my experience, getting to that first 10,000 is always is like like no, but you're gonna
that's
get there. And
okay.
as long as you're consistent, yeah. As long as you're consistent in your creation, and as long as you trust like your magic, like you have so much magic in you, especially if you're drawn to this sort of field. If you trust it, it's gonna happen. And you just gotta find the way of working that works for you. You gotta find the content that's gonna work for you. And there's always gonna be a learning curve. Like, it's not the hardest profession by any means, but it's also not incredibly easy. So I really think anybody who feels really drawn to this can do this. But there's going to be some challenges, but there's also going to be so much fun things that you can do. And know that you don't have to have a certain level of audience viewership or followers to be successful if you want to make money off of this profession. Like, you can do this professionally.
Yes. Trust your magic and stay
Yeah,
consistent.
just imagine it.
Two more mic drop moments. Thank you so much, Capri. I really appreciate your
Thank
time and you
you.
sharing your perspective. It's a really interesting conversation. So for anybody watching, follow Capri on all the socials. I've dropped her links below. Um, she also has an online course called I'm Bi, So Now What, which helps people navigate their bisexuality and embrace their identity. So really cool offering there,
Mhm.
and definitely check that
Thank
out.
you.
Thanks so much, Capri.
Thank you for having me.